this segment is here to highlight just making that all-encompassing class of using both recruiting and the portal to bring in the best possible class. So, Carl, Ohio State, they are 47th on our transfer portal rankings, so not that team that gets a lot of attention for what they're able to do. But what is it about this entire Ohio State group that shows you that Ryan Day did a great job building both through the portal and through recruiting?
Well, Ryan Day and Ohio State is one of the programs that can still go out and attract the very best high school players in the country because Ohio State is a brand name. They get guys into the National Football League. They're going to have an opportunity to play for championships, and that name is still going to bring a great deal of credibility every time you're sitting down with a 4-star or a 5-star athlete. So Ohio State is one of those programs that won't have to dip into the portal too much. They still have the ability and the know-how to go and grab some of the best high school players in the nation. Ryan Day still has a bunch of recruiting momentum and has done an excellent job attracting high school talent.
Ohio State crushed it on offense, right, with those wide receivers. We talk about them at length. Jelani Thurman, the tight end, but they add 2 battle-tested defensive backs. Ole Miss transfer David Igbenogson. I always stumble on that one. He comes from Ole Miss, went up against some of the top wideouts as a true freshman there in the SEC. I know some people in Oxford that were super high on that kid the day he stepped on campus. I'm sure they're upset that he left. Added Jihad Carter from Syracuse, another veteran player in the secondary, and they need some help on the back end defending the pass. So Ryan Day, it's a good little haul for them. It might not be as big as some of the others, but those are guys that you can pencil into the 2 deep and provide depth right away.
Yep. And as we've seen, coaches have different kind of portal standards and their own philosophy as far as how they use the portal. But what we're really highlighting here is just the guys that do a good job of making sure that they use a couple different tools that are at their disposal. So how about Brian Kelly and the work that he's doing at LSU? Carl, what are your early impressions of what he's building through both the portal and high school recruiting?
Brian Kelly has hit the ground running ever since he got in Baton Rouge. He's even adjusted his accent to fit in with the locals, so it's exciting. Taking the momentum from beating a team like Alabama down the stretch, has added key guys, transfer portal, high school. He's got a bunch of guys in there that fit his mold, big guys on defense that can run and that can hit, good offensive linemen, a really good class by him on both sides of the ball.
I think that ultimately Brian Kelly would like to use the transfer portal in a similar fashion that Ohio State and Georgia are using it, where it's like, hey, we're deficient in a room because we lost some guys to the NFL draft or injury, or maybe we did misevaluate a couple guys and we need to upgrade that room. Or a guy like Jahmyr Gibbs goes in the portal and he's just better than everybody we got. And we want to add him to a championship caliber program like Alabama did. But LSU, Brian Kelly inherited a football team that before he got there was 5-5 and 6-7, which isn't the standard to LSU. And they're trying to rebuild that quickly into a championship contending program. They won 10 games this year. They played in the SEC championship, but there was still a lot of depth issues, particularly in the secondary, where they needed to put a Band-Aid on it with the transfer portal. But with a top 10 recruiting class this year and a really good recruiting class in 2023, number 2 early in 2024, I think the hope is to eventually not have to be so aggressive in the portal and just find difference makers to help get a program closer to winning a national championship.
Denver Harris, a former top 32 guy for us at cornerback. He comes over. You mentioned that the cornerback depth there. We know LSU can churn out some defenders. Deuce Chestnut, another guy that comes over. He was excellent as a freshman for Syracuse. I think you're right, Steve. Most of these programs, what they want to do is they want to build through the high school ranks. I always compare that. That is kind of drafting. And then you look at the transfer portal, that's essentially free agency. So if you can hit at certain positions, which LSU has done. They have 2 young bookend tackles. We talked about Zalance Hurd earlier on the show. That allows them to kind of devote some resources elsewhere. So premium positions, build in-house, and then go get the free agents if you need them.
All right, that Southern accent and the dance moves are certainly working. We laugh, but look at those results there. All right, how about Ole Miss? Carl, we know Lane Kiffin loves to go shopping for some quarterbacks in the portal.
Transfer to the SIP, that's been his thing. Walker Howard at quarterback, Spencer Sanders. Everybody has talked about how many quarterbacks do you need in the room, but obviously he knows his roster and what he's looking for better than all of us do. He has been aggressive in the transfer portal the last 2 years. Ole Miss has been able to get some guys out of the portal that they weren't able to get involved with as high school players. So that's been a big thing for him. I think that he's used the portal in a great way to build his roster, to build depth, and add star power. He's done an excellent job with it so far.
It kind of reminds me of like a young Steve Spurrier, right? Like just all these different quarterback arms. He's going to play different guys, and he'll just figure it out.
They're all going to play then? Is that what you're telling me?
Is he going to start throwing the visor? I don't know what he's going to do, but he's got some talent there. One other guy in this transfer class that I like, Chris Marshall, like Denver Harris, another highly ranked recruit coming out of Texas A&M. Didn't work out year one there. He goes to Ole Miss. Ole Miss, they have some NFL wide receivers running around making plays these days, so interested to see. They want to run the ball with Quinshon Judkins, but you have a guy on the outside, a big target like Chris Marshall, that kind of opens things up and unlocks things.
All right, we got a YouTube question here I want to get to. It's interesting. Steve, I'll ask you this. Which first-year coach has the best high school/transfer class this season? Not necessarily based off of rankings, but just fit.
Well, I think what Brett Venables was able to do in his first year at Oklahoma gives them a foundation to turn around a program that certainly didn't play to the standard that they're used to in Norman. I mean, this was a team that was 5-7 this year, that boasted a defense that boasted is not the right word, ran out a defense that ranked 129th nationally. Coach, I know you know Brent Venables well. I don't think he's had many defenses that rank 29th nationally, let alone 129th nationally. But to go get Adepujo Adebaware, one of the most electric pass rushers in the nation in this class, Peyton Bowen and Makari Vickers are very versatile playmaking defensive backs that will help get that secondary off and running. And then two terrific linebackers, Samuel Omashigo, who's one of the fastest linebackers in the country, Lewis Carter. I'll even throw Phil Picciotti in there. I think that he really upgraded the second-level defenders in this class. Across the board, this defense is upgrading in every position room because of this recruiting class. Now it's going to take some time to develop these guys, but Coach Venables found the guys with the traits he's looking for that fits the scheme he wants to run, and I think it's only going to get better from here. And then he went out and landed arguably the best high school quarterback in the country in Jackson Arnold, who had a terrific junior and senior year, Gatorade National Player of the Year.
Venables getting them going. I'm going to go right here with Dan Lanning at the University of Oregon. I think he got the steal of the transfer portal when he plucked offensive lineman out of Rhode Island, A.J. Cornelius, a guy he went in and was able to grab for him, a guy with NFL potential and an NFL skill set. And another high school guy that I don't think we talk about enough in the Oregon class is Cole Martin out of Basha High School in Phoenix, Arizona. State championship game year this year. I got a chance to watch that team play on ESPN against Raiola, who's the #1 quarterback in the 24 class. And, man, that secondary gave him fits, led by Cole Martin at the University of Oregon. And I think that that's an excellent class, transfer portal and high school-wise. Lanning has been killing it in recruiting down the stretch.
I'm going to go Mario Cristobal in Miami. We keep kind of bouncing around from coach to coach.
You had the most time to think about it,
I know,
so I'm excited
I did.
to hear your
I
answer.
was punching away at the laptop right there. Javian Cohen, offensive lineman, comes over from Alabama. He started some games. Talked about it with them adding Francis Mauagoa, Samson Okunlola. They need help on the offensive line, so they get Javion Cohen, who came from Tuscaloosa. Matt Lee's a center that they got from UCF. Heard some talks that they think he's potentially an NFL guy. And then Devontae Brown, cornerback that is battle-tested there in the American Conference. He has played a ton of football. They need help in the secondary. His brother's also there as an incoming recruit, Damari Brown. So I think Mario Cristobal is doing a good job as he rebuilds that entire roster. I think retools it a good term. Got to tear it down, build it back up. He did it with the high schoolers, adding some depth in the transfer portal, and I assume they're probably not done. I mean, we got another window coming up after spring football before the season starts. All three of those guys we just talked about are going to be looking to make their teams better.